Hi kids, it's Mrs. Roberts. Welcome to my kitchen. I have a new story for you today. And what makes this story special is that I had a lot of help from some fifth grade students and another teacher got involved in this story. And I wanted to show you how simple it is to write a story and that you can write one too. All we did as a group, we sat in a circle. The kids told me ideas. I wrote them down on this little piece of paper and this little piece of paper, and I came up with a whole story using their ideas along with some of my own, and we added in some things with help from another teacher. It was so much fun, and we just put it on a little piece of paper. And so let's get started. It's a good one, guys. And I want to tell you, I'll give you the list of all of us that put it together because it was actually 10 students that were in that group. It was Mrs. Roberts, Mrs. Lloyd, Zendaya, Nasia, Deborah, Sakari, Yasmin, Ashley, Joshua, Kashif, David, and Cameron, all fifth grade students. So thank you all so much for your help on this particular story. All right, it's called It's a Long Story. Enjoy. Oh, I want to show you first. Look at the cover. What do you notice? There's a green fog coming in, and it's coming into the room, and this is the window in the classroom. So here we go. It was one of those dark spring days when the rain continues to threaten but never actually falls. The students in room 164 could hear thunder and once in a while saw a flash of lightning out the window. The sky was becoming a weird green. There was a strange electricity in the air, and it made the students unusually irritable. It was a small room that was partitioned into two halves. Normally, each teacher had 8 to 10 students on their half of the room, but today, only a total of 10 kids came to class. The two teachers decided to combine the groups. So the two teachers work in a small room together, so they decided to put the two groups together since only 10 kids showed up. The students started complaining as the class got underway. Some wanted free time instead of work. Others complained about who should read first. Just as Mrs. Lloyd was going to choose a student to read, they all heard a strange noise. The class turned to look at the small fish tank in the room. The two residing goldfish, Goldie and Lox, were beginning to jump around, splashing, knocking on the glass, and causing quite a ruckus. Next, the power went off. The green glow in the sky seemed to get darker and darker. The students all jumped up from their seats and poof! Mrs. Lloyd, Mrs. Roberts, Zendaya, Nasia, Deborah, Sakari, Yasmin, Ashley, Joshua, Kashif, David, and Cameron disappeared from the room. The two goldfish settled back into their peaceful routine of slowly swimming back and forth across their little fish tank. The two teachers and the 10 students found themselves spinning through a strange green atmosphere. But they could not see the ground. Each student started to reach out to grab the hand of another student or a teacher. And I want to show you. This is Goldie and Lox, the two goldfish that were left in the classroom. Everyone else disappeared suddenly as that green, weird sky started to come. Only the goldfish were left. Uh-oh, I wonder what happened. Where are we? Cameron yelled out. Well, we're definitely not in New York anymore, Yasmin yelled back. I feel like we're being transported to another world, David shouted. Grab onto each other and hold on tight. Safety in numbers, Ashley called out. Everyone did just that. Suddenly, Sakari and Nasia shouted out together, Look at that! A trampoline! A giant trampoline! What is going on? I must be losing my mind, Mrs. Roberts said in a high-pitched voice. The next thing the group knew was that they were falling out of the green haze and on to the giant trampoline. Not one student or teacher let go of the person next to them. They gently landed, bounced twice, and the world seemed still, completely still. They all lay on the trampoline for a few seconds, and then Kashif sat up. David, it looks like you were right. I think we were transported to another world. Look over there. And he pointed. Oh dear. They all sat up to look. Deborah whispered to Joshua, Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Joshua whispered back, Are you seeing little green men? Yes, I am. Mrs. Roberts, you're not the only one losing your mind, Deborah replied. Everyone started talking at once. Zendaya choked out. Shouldn't one of us speak to those little green men? I, for one, I want to know where we are. And I want to know how we got here, Nasia said. Cameron said, I volunteer, Mrs. Lloyd. Mrs. Lloyd looked around at the group. Mrs. Roberts and all the kids nodded their head at her. Yasmin said, You can do it, Mrs. Lloyd. You have a calm way about you. They'll love you. Mrs. Lloyd stood up, and Mrs. Roberts stood up next to her. The students crowded together behind them. And this is what they saw. Here they are. They all landed on the trampoline. And Cameron suggests that Mrs. Lloyd talk to them because she's so calm. And this was the little green men that were coming toward the trampoline. It was scary. And they want to know where they are. Hello, we come in peace, Mrs. Lloyd said to the little green men. Hello, where do you come from? An alien asked in perfect English. They all started to smile as Mrs. Lloyd answered, "We come from Earth." "Ah, yes, we know of Earth. We have friends on Earth." The class was in shock. How was it possible? First, how did the class get here? Second, where was here? Third, how do these little green men speak perfect English? Fourth, how could they have friends on Earth? And last, how do we get home? The aliens had the answers to all their questions. We apologize for transporting you to our planet of Verde. Verde means green. That's why the atmosphere was so green and why we are so green too. One of our brothers wanted to visit the goldfish, Goldie and Locks. He was so surprised to see people in the room. He rushed to get back to Verde and mistakenly brought you all with him. We have visited Earth many times. Our favorite vacation place is Roswell, New Mexico. We met a bus driver named Bucky Carson and his tour group near there, and now we are all very good friends. Aliens usually travel by spaceship, but sometimes we can transport ourselves quickly for a quick visit. Oh gosh. We will certainly transport your whole group back to your room as soon as possible. Wait a minute. We can't stay a while? We have so much to learn, Ashley cried out. Yeah, we don't want to go back just yet, Sakari said. Kashif agreed. That's right. Shouldn't we stay and learn more about Verde? Mrs. Roberts and Mrs. Lloyd truly wanted to stay a bit and let the students explore, but they didn't have any signed permission slips for a field trip. Sorry, kids. We must get back to school. Maybe we can work something out on another day, Mrs. Roberts said. Or maybe we can visit you, said the aliens. Now it's time to transport you back to Earth. Are you ready? Zendaya, Nasia, Deborah, Sakari, Yasmin, Ashley, Joshua, Kashif, David, Cameron, Mrs. Lloyd, and Mrs. Roberts gave a thumbs up. Instantly, they were back at school. But this time, they were all small, and they landed in the fish tank. As they climbed out, they became their real size again. Each of them was soaking wet, but safely back. The class looked at each other and started to laugh. What an adventure it had been. Just then, the principal burst into the room. Where have you all been? The power came back on and we couldn't find you. All we could find were those 2 goldfish. And why are you all soaking wet? It's a long story, Zendaya said, and then started to giggle. Finally, the whole class started laughing again. Oh, no one would ever believe it. The end. And this, again, is the quiet Goldie and Lox. And at this point, they're the only ones that really knew the whole story. The end. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. What a great story to write about all of us disappearing from school, visiting another planet, the planet of Verde, which means green, and visiting little green men. And I hope you heard the connection. Sometimes I write Bucky Carson stories, the bus driving dog, and I put him in the story. The kids said, why don't you add him in the end? And so we decided to do that. So, but again, guys, it is so easy to write a story. Just put down your ideas on a little piece of paper and then get to work and put those ideas into a story. And I took photographs of different things and added that in. But you don't even have to do that. You can draw your own pictures. All right, guys. It was a pleasure working with all these people. Take care. Have a good day. And I will be reading to you soon. Bye-bye.